Hello everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood Pyrosaniac, and welcome to either the stupidest or most amazing video I've ever made. If you're somewhat familiar with Bethesda's The Elder Scrolls series, you can appreciate the amount of lore, history, and depth the studio has given to the land of Tamriel and its inhabitants, to the point that it feels like a living, breathing fantasy realm. And as any fantasy fan knows, any high fantasy setting worth its salt comes with its own unique set of curses. Sure, there's some real-world insults and curses we can hear, such as damn, harlot, maggot, and of course...
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch!
However, Tamriel is host to a variety of races and languages, each with their own curses, expressions, and racial slurs. So, being the mature channel that this is, we're going to go through each of these as well as their meaning and origin. Perhaps the most well-known insult, and my personal favorite, comes from the Dunmer. This is of course,
You Inwa.
Inwa translates to foreigner or, more preferably, outlander, and is used as a xenophobic slur. Depending on the context, it can also mean invader, which is why the Imperial Legion are often called Inwas. Another Dunmeri fan favorite is Swit. Swit is short for soft-witted or slow-witted, which basically equivocates to calling someone a moron or, well, dumbass. An uncommon insult among the Dunmer is Nchao, which I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing properly as I cannot find an in-game voiced source, but it can be found in the in-game book, The Four Suitors of Benitha. From the context, I can guess it's a general insult which probably means something along the lines of fool. Fetcher is another common Vardenfell insult which means slave. Think of a fetcher as being someone who fetches things for other people. Another lesser-known insult is Fla, which is an improper form of address. It's not a direct insult like Swit, but it could be considered by some to be insulting in the wrong context. Now, there's a Dremora called Anhedra found in Margon. If you're not familiar with him, he's basically been bound to Nirn, where he's forced to listen to thousands of pilgrims taunt him day after day. Pretty crappy existence if you ask me. So you can kind of forgive him when after you've taunted him a few times, he outright states that he will kill you and proceed to, violate your corpse. Pleasant fellow, really. So back to the more lighthearted side of the Elder Scrolls, the Nords have a few insults of their own. The most common are Snowback and Milk-drinker, which are both used to imply physical weakness. The Nords are a proud and hardy race of warriors, thus showing weakness can be seen as extremely demeaning. Milk-drinkers implies that you're still a baby who needs to be nourished by your mother, whereas adults are able to stand by themselves and drink mead. This is something someone would expect to hear when fighting a Nord during a duel, in hopes of demoralizing a foe. Snowback isn't as straightforward in its translation, but I have two theories. Since Skyrim is a harsh winter wasteland which is snowing all the time, unless of course you're in Falkreath, if you're constantly beaten to the ground by your enemies, you'll get a lot of snow on your back. In that same vein, another interpretation could be that because you're so weak that if you get caught in a snowstorm, you'll lean forward to protect yourself, resulting in a buildup of snow on your back. If you're strong, you'll stand up straight and power through, and thus no snow will get on your back. I personally like the forward theory. Some other good Nord insults which are pretty self-explanatory are I fought mudcrabs fiercer than you, and another one of my favorites, you move like a pregnant cow. No one said the Nords aren't creative. There's also a lesser heard insult, Snowberries, which implies that you're lacking in certain departments. The throw voice shout has some fun taunts as well, such as slug breath, melon nose, cheese brain, troll bait, ugly, and my personal favorite. All these taunts are used to either imply ugliness or ineptitude. The Argonians have some slurs as well, which were featured in the Infernal City novel. Xuth is a simple expression which pretty much translates to shit. And forgive me if I pronounce these next ones wrong. Waxhuthil and kaoc both mean something like stupid or ignorant. So if you're feeling racist, you would probably call an orc a kaoc. If you're not an Argonian, you may make fun of an orc by calling them ugly, repulsive, a savage, or a monster. An orc may get back at an Argonian by calling them lizard or lizard brain. Particularly insulting considering the Argonians are much more intelligent and sophisticated than your average lizard. The Vsmir, or the Wood Elves, probably get the short end of the racial slur stick, with a lot of innuendo being made towards them being, infatuated with, well, trees. Charming. The Khajiit don't get off easy either, and they probably get the most varied amount of slurs thrown their way. We all know that the Khajiit get called thieves a lot, but some of the insults come from calling them kitty, or making innuendos toward doing cat things like eating rats or playing with balls of yarn. When I played a Khajiit in Skyrim, there were two insults which really cut me deep. First was being told that I'd make a fine rug. That just hit me right in the feelings. It really hurt. And then there's the monsters who say that their aunt had a cat and they killed it too. Unforgivable. After hearing a few of those derogatory slurs thrown your way, you might be inclined to make an irritated curse. Dunmer in Skyrim can be heard yelling, "Azura curse you," which is in reference to the Daedra Azura, who taught the Dunmer's ancestors, the Chimera, how to be different from the Altmer. And although sometimes cruel is considered to be a good Daedra. The Nords have a few interesting curses, such as Vsmir's beard, as well as Shor's blood or Shor's bones. Without getting into too much detail, Vsmir is Vsmir Wolfheart, the Nordic aspect of the god Talos, while Shor is an ancient Nordic deity who is instrumental in the creation of Nirn and the embodiment of Sovngarde, the Nordic afterlife. Another common curse heard on Tamriel is the use of Oblivion, which are the realms of the Daedra. It's pretty much used the same way that one might use Hell in the real world, with a prominent example occurring during the opening sequence of Skyrim when Alduin appears.
What in Oblivion is that?
Oblivion, of course, isn't exactly Hell, as most mortals don't go there when they die unless they're a werewolf or something. Not to mention that there are many planes of Oblivion, but the one most people think of is the Deadlands, which is ruled by Mehrunes Dagon. To be fair, a lot of the Deadlands does actually look like hell. And of course, there's that ever-present exclamation of, "By the Nine and by the Divines." Or if you're a Talonor sympathizer, then by the Eight. Which is of course referring to the Aedra of the Imperial Pantheon, the most popular religion on Tamriel. A real-world equivalent would be if someone were to yell, "For God's sake!" And there you have it, a plethora of curses and insults found on Tamriel. Let me know your favorite Tamrielic insults and curses in the comments, and feel free to let me know if I missed any. Thanks a lot for watching, Inwas, and I'll see you next time.